All right, guys, if I had to start my collection over, I want to talk to you guys about the 5 fragrances that I would start with. I'm going to give you guys some great rationale behind why these would be the 5 fragrances that I would choose. You're going to want to hear everything I have to say in this video. Let's get into it. What's good, YouTube? I'm the BowTie fragrance guy on the channel, where of course we focus on primarily fragrances. I think it's important. I think it's important for you guys to look your best as well. So I like to throw in some grooming tips, like how to take care of your skin, making sure your nails are manicured, just kind of everyday things, and also some style tips. I like to talk about, seasonal fabrics, perfect time of the year where certain kind of fabrics, different suits, dress shoes, things like that, looking good. I talk about it all on this channel. So if you're into that, make sure you hit subscribe. Don't forget to enable notifications by hitting the bell icon as well. So anytime a new video is uploaded, you guys get notified. All right, guys, on today's video, again, I'm going to be talking about 5 fragrances. If I had to start this thing from scratch, these are the 5 fragrances that I would get first. Now, there is some rationale behind each fragrance. I will make sure I explain that when I talk about, say, a fragrance. I will tell you right now, these are not my favorite 5 fragrances in my collection, but I would start with these 5 for very specific reasons. And I think if you guys listen to my rationale, especially for you guys that are really just getting into this hobby, you'll understand why and how having a fragrance that fits, each of these rationales that I'm going to use can really help you shape up having kind of the perfect fragrance collection for yourself. You don't want to miss this one. I'm on the intro. When we come back, we'll get into it. So if you want to see what I have to say on this particular video topic, and you should, then you know the routine. Keep it locked right here. Let's get it.
The BowTie Fragrance Guy.
All right, guys, we're back. Thank you so much for keeping it locked in. Let's jump right into this video. If you don't have my ebook, The Gentleman's Blueprint, do it. Get it. Click down below. Support me, support the channel, and pick up your copy of The Gentleman's Blueprint. You'll be glad that you did. It's only $9.99. The first fragrance on this list today, man. This fragrance comes from a brand of Burberry, and it's this one, Burberry Touch. Burberry Touch, one of my favorite designer fragrances of all time. Violet leaves, white pepper, nutmeg. I think there's cedarwood in here. A little bit of sweetness on the dry down from tonka bean. One of my favorite inexpensive designer fragrances ever. And this is one of the ones I would start with because number one, the price point. This particular fragrance would be one I would get because it is inexpensive. You're going to hear a lot when you get into collecting fragrances about rack stores. And a lot of people are referring to places like TJ Maxx, Nordstrom's rack, Marshall's, places like that you can go. And a lot of times you'll find designer fragrances for a discounted price. This is one of the best fragrances you will ever find, probably the best fragrance you'll ever find in those rack stores. All right, so it is on this list because it is inexpensive, and it's because of a fragrance that will help you really understand what a quality, inexpensive fragrance can really smell like. I think it is one that all inexpensive, quote unquote, rack store finds should be measured by this fragrance, Burberry Touch. Again, one of my favorite inexpensive designer fragrances of all time. And you can even look on places like FragranceGuy, that sometimes really drags fragrances unnecessarily. And this is very highly rated and rated often. It has a lot of votes and ratings on it, and it's still rated over 4 stars out of 5. That should really tell you something, man. This is just that great of a fragrance that you can get at an inexpensive price. And the last reason this would be one that I would choose is because it is so versatile, man. You can wear this anytime, any place, anywhere. It is really a signature scent that doesn't smell like what it's going to cost you. It smells a lot more expensive, if you will, than what it's going to cost you. It's just amazing. It's amazing. This is my second bottle of it. I haven't worn it in a little minute, but I've worn it enough to go through 1.5 bottles with all the other fragrances I have in my collection. This used to be the fragrance I wear every morning on Saturdays when I go to the barbershop. Anyway, I love it. It will be one I will start with. This will introduce you to inexpensive fragrances that smell expensive that you can find in rack stores. So it will be one definitely I will start with from the brand of Burberry. This is Burberry Touch. I love this stuff. The next fragrance that I will start with, and it's probably one that a lot of you start with or got early on in your fragrance journey because you heard so much about it. From the brand of Creed, this is Aventus. This is Aventus. Blackcurrant, apple, pineapple, patchouli, oak moss, musk, dry birch wood. You guys know about this fragrance, so I don't really want to go through the notes because most of you know what's in here, what it's really comprised of. Why would it just be one of the ones I would get? Because number one, when you really start collecting, especially early on, you're going to hear about this fragrance a lot. Even today, where I feel like the fragrance has been a victim of its own success, you're probably still going to hear about Aventus. And it's kind of sort of, I think, one of those fragrances at some point you just have to smell. There's so much information out there, so many videos on this fragrance. It's hard to be invested in this hobby and not know about this fragrance and probably feel compelled to get it in your collection. Now, I would get in the collection for that reason, but also there's two other reasons. Number two, the second reason is that it is as good as it has been advertised. Now, again, I know it's kind of a victim of its own success, but man, this fragrance kind of leads me to the third reason. There have been so many fragrances that have been inspired by this fragrance. There's a lot of straight up clones of it, but there's also a lot of fragrances that are inspired by Creed Aventus. I just did a video where I talked about pineapple fragrances. This note popularized the note of pineapple. I can't really think of many fragrances prior to 2010 that really featured the note of pineapple, but after Creed Aventus, there are a laundry list of them. So it is probably the most popular niche fragrance of all time. So it's really hard not to start a collection and not have this to be one of the first ones, because you learn so much about other niche fragrances and fragrances overall from smelling this. Now, everybody's not going to be a fan of it. A lot of people are, but it is one that I think I would definitely start with, because you're going to hear so much about it. It's just going to be one that you're probably going to want to pick up anyway. And it does smell great, but it has been super impactful on fragrances overall since it was originated in 2010. So it's definitely one I would start with. If you were fortunate enough to get a 4-ounce bottle, I still have a little bit left. You'll definitely understand what I'm saying. But I would definitely start with this as one of my 5 from the brand of Creed, Aventus. Another fragrance that I would start with for very similar reasons. This is a designer fragrance from the brand of Dior. This is Dior Sage. Yep, believe it or not, I would start with this one. This is pepper, lavender, patchouli, ambroxan, and cedarwood. Man, this particular fragrance over the last 10 years have had the same effect on the designer fragrance market as Creed Aventus has had on the niche market and really fragrances overall. Dior Sage, released in 2015. Man, this started the quote-unquote blue fragrance phase. Just like you had back in 1996, you had Mugler's Amen that came in and really started the whole gourmand thing. Before that, it was all about Acqu Di Gio and Homme and Jupe, however you want to pronounce it. But then 96, boom, here comes Amen, and that started this whole patchouli gourmand craze. In 2015, Dior Sage came and started the blue fragrance ambroxan craze. There probably aren't many people that have, gone on to quote unquote to collect the fragrances quote unquote or start a collection that have not had this fragrance in their collection. Now, again, obviously, just like Creed Aventus, has been a victim of his own success. I get it. It is one that probably everybody knows about. Even the people that aren't really into fragrances like that know about Creed Aventus. Most of the time I meet people and they don't really know if don't know I'm into fragrances, and we bring up the topic of fragrance and be like, have you ever smelled this one, Dior? Man, yeah, I'll smell that before, but most people know about it. Fresh, clean, kind of spicy, peppery. Of course, people used to say shower gel kind of thing. Yeah, that's what this is, but it smells great. And that's why it became so popular. And of course, the fragrance world is the same as many other things in life. It's a copycat league. It's like an NFL and the NBA. You want to win a championship? Of course, you kind of model your team after who won it the year before, right? So that's kind of sort of what happened with this fragrance, Dior Sauvage. This is the original EDT, but there are a lot of fragrances that started to use that ambroxan thing, like Mont Blanc Explorer. You have Dylan Blue, Prada Luna Rossa Carbon, La Monster from Louis Vuitton. All these fragrances that have come after it that feature that note or a prominent amount of that ambroxan, all because of this one right here. So to really help you understand the current state of the designer fragrance market, this is one I would start with. It's gonna tell you a lot. From the brand of Dior, this is Dior Sauvage. Probably at some point in time in most of you guys' journey, you're going to want to learn about quality. And to me, man, a fragrance that is expensive but worth every single penny, I would definitely have to give it to this fragrance right here. It is expensive. You can't find it at discounters. Again, I link as many as I can find. But you gotta put your nose on this from Rosia. This is Diaghilev. Diaghilev. This is peach, jasmine, oak moss, black currant, benzoin, sandalwood, just to name a few notes. Quality through and through. The retail price of this fragrance is of $1,100. A lot of the places I've seen it discounted, you can look at anywhere between $350 to $500. To me, that is 1,000% worth it. This fragrance can teach a class on quality. Now, a lot of people, regardless of how much money they have, will never really want to spend a certain amount on a fragrance. I understand that, that's cool. That's not my situation. But this is one that if you really want to understand the cost proposition in a fragrance that is worth it at a high price point, this is one of the fragrances I would highly recommend you put your nose on, Diaghilev, because the quality is there. It is one that I truly think anybody can really, as soon as you put it on your skin, smell the quality of it. It lasts all day long, and especially for guys, it is a fruity chypre. So a chypre is a very masculine scent profile. So this fragrance will teach you a lot about quality, masculinity in fragrances, and I think really help you to appreciate more quality fragrances. This is definitely a difference between this and a lot of fragrances that are less expensive than this. You can smell the quality in this stuff. So this is one I would definitely start with for that reason, because it will really help you understand what quality should be and can be when it comes to fragrances. From the brand of Parfums, Diaghilev. All right, guys, and last but not least, the last fragrance I would start with if I was starting over would be this fragrance from the brand of Mason Francis Kurkdjian, Oud Satin Mood. Oud Satin Mood, Bulgarian and Turkish rose, violet, vanilla, and oud. I chose this fragrance because oud is another note that you're gonna hear a lot about when you really get into fragrances, and it can be a very polarizing note. There are some fragrances that feature oud that folks say are quote unquote animalic, which basically means that, honestly, another way to say animalic is very strong and kind of skanky to a degree. That's a way to kind of describe what animalic means when it comes to fragrances. But there are a lot of fragrances that do feature a very animalic oud, but this one, the one word that comes to mind when I think about this fragrance is smooth. It is smooth, it is sexy, it is seductive. And I think for anybody that really wants to understand oud, I would start them with this one, because you can smell a real quality oud here, but it's so smooth and so well done. I don't think this will really offend anybody. So the oud is definitely, like I said, a very important note in fragrances. It's very important, and again, it can be very, very polarizing. But this is a fragrance that I think mostly anybody that has interest in oud will probably smell. They won't be offended by it, but if you like oud, I think this is one that you will really gravitate towards. It is a date night and a compliment magnet. And I just think, again, for folks that are getting into it, that want to smell, get that balance between a quality oud, but something that's not overly animalic and skanky. This is the perfect way to go right here. So I'll definitely start with this one from the brand Amazing Francis Kirkton. This is Oud Satin Mood. But that is it, guys. That is my time. I hope you enjoyed this video today. What do you guys think about the concept? I would love to hear from you down in the comment section. Now, as always, I sincerely appreciate you guys' time and your attention to these videos. You don't have to watch, but you do. And I sincerely appreciate that. Now, don't forget to take a few moments to like, comment, and subscribe. Let's make sure you are sharing these videos out to some other folks out there that you think could use the information, find it entertaining. Because I'm your guy, Darren, the BowTie Fragrance Guy. I love to look good, and of course, I love to smell fantastic. So until next time, keep looking good, keep smelling even better. And don't forget, guys, check out either this video or this video. And I'll catch you on the flip side. Peace.